received the national audit report and submit same to submit the report to the council.
What I'm saying now, the finance committee has, and I will get that report from.
Okay. Now, grants that were received from 2018 to 2023, have you received grants from any institution, both national?
We've received grants.
Grants.
Yeah.
And would we, can you provide us with the grants that were received from 2018 to 2023?
Yes, we can provide.
Please. All right. Now, on page 86, the auditor found that the administration of council were not maintaining an Imprest account or an Imprest ledger. It says that the council did not maintain an Imprest holders account for the issuance and the retirement of these Imprest. The total Imprest issued were recorded in the entertainment account, where retirement will be entered as receipts of cash. And it says the implications, the failure to maintain an Imprest account might make it difficult to establish what Imprest amount is given to whom and for what purpose for monitoring the retirements of these Imprest. Is this true?
If they state it, it's probably true.
Okay, so anything they state is true.
Well, it's an audit account, and I hope the National Audit Office has the competence to give.
Okay, then we take it that whatever is said is true. Now, why was there no Imprest holders account or ledger?
Well, I'll find out from the finance committee. I think they have resolved this issue.
How was it resolved?
I'll find out.
We'll find out. Now, you had arrears of rates on page 89. That there's we noted arrears of rates of $242,450,956.97 and $404,553.58 bruttos for the year 2020 and 2021 respectively, and with respect to residential and commercial rates. Now, what did council do to address this issue?
We've done a lot. It's our biggest problem.
Yes.
Non-compliance of rates. The challenges are various. One of them is lack of an addressing system. But the KMC has worked with the Ministry of Information to come up with Google Plus codes. We are now integrating those Google Plus codes to our rates database. We actually have a grant of $30 million from the French Development Agency to make sure that people who live in our municipality or in our rates database have a connection between their Google Plus codes and the council metric system. That is one challenge they've had. Another challenge they've had is a challenge of records. People sell their properties, and sometimes they don't go to the council, they go through the local alcalo or the lands ministry, and we don't have that change of name. So sometimes the rates collector goes, and then they can't, identify the owner. That's another challenge. Another challenge is that the court, the magistrates, KMC Municipal Court. Of course, we know the judiciary is independent. We have a challenge of enforcement there. And of course, I don't want to speak on the affairs of the judiciary, but sometimes we believe more enforcement can be done to compel people to pay. It's a national issue. I think it's an issue everywhere of arrears, but we are trying to fix it with technology.
Okay. Yeah. What is the decision taken at council level, for, whether it is through the accounts committee or through recommendations sent from the accounts committee to council? Do we have evidence of deliberations or decisions made in relation to recovering this?
As far as I can remember, this has been a big issue throughout the years, and
right.
It's discussed quite frequently because we are revenue hungry. We have services to deliver. And I believe the finance committee at the latter part, the finance and the revenue committee at the latter part developed an idea that maybe we should find debt collectors.
Right.
And I think they were even looking at the potential of getting debt collection agencies to help us. We also use our lawyer. Our lawyer has had judgments of $50 million. I think it's 47 something, $50 million against these areas. Some of them are stuck in court at the sheriff's office for the sale of the assets owned by those debtors.
From this amount, is it possible to have data in relation to?
Yes, I have the list. I think I was looking at it before I traveled.
Yes, to have data in relation to were not presented for audit inspection. These GTRs were recorded in the revenue collector's cash book, but the physical GTRs were not provided for audit inspection. Now, the implications that in the absence of GTRs, the correctness of the figures in the revenue collector's cash book could not be confirmed. Therefore, the correctness of market revenue in the revenue and expenditure statements could not. The comment reads, contrary to the claim in the management response, only some of the GTRs were presented, which have duly been reviewed and removed from the query. This still leaves an outstanding balance of $186,650. Did the council do anything to address this issue?
I think the finance committee has. I will find out.
You will find out. All right. All right. Now, still on GTRs, it says that there was an unpresented GTR of $141,464 with GTR number 3002501 to 3002600, dated the 5th of March 2020 by Kiwe Jeng. Now, again, the same implication. The management responded that we have visited the National Audit Office and presented the said GTRs, which are also reviewed and queried to the audit team for him to reconsider the query. Now, the auditors further comments that the licensed GTRs remain outstanding and the claim in the management response is incorrect. Also, the evidences have been presented with the management response. Understand? Have you had course either through your committee?
Yeah, I think I will find out from you.
You will find out. The unpresented collector's cash book, 2.3.5, that the council did not present some of the license collector's cash book. Now, for instance, Bure Juf from March 2020 and July 2020, again, Bure Juf, the serial numbers for March 2020 is 2995601 to 2995700, the amount of which is $218,250. Now, July 20th, Bure Juf again, 3005501 is the serial number to 3005600. The total is $1,131,500. Now, this is a substantial sum. Now, did the council resolve this?
Say it again.
Did the council resolve this?
I'll find out.
You'll
I
find
think
out.
it's part of the same investigation or series of.
Very well. Now, the management response at the time is that all cash books were presented for inspection. The state cash book on the query were with, sorry, a hammer mill bottle crusher machine on page 97. You may want to turn.
Page 90.
7. It says stated that we noted that the council purchased a hammer mill at a cost of $1,143,198 is 19 bottles, which include $34,931 for fees and charges by GAM direct money transfer. However, we observed that the council did not use this machine since its purchase and not included it in their fixed asset register. He further noted that the purchase did not follow GPPA procedures. Is this correct?
I have to find out about this.
Because
what I remember, the council did not purchase. It was donated to the council by Gambega or Banjul Breweries. I cannot remember.
Okay, so you want time to find out?
But I vividly remember, I believe it was donated.
It was?
Donated by Banjul Breweries or Gambega. They wanted to dump, I think, thousands of bottles and in our dump site. And I said, I remember environment meeting, I said, before you dump this, make sure it goes through the right process. So the environment director recommended that they purchase a bottle crusher, which I believe was placed at the back of the dump site.
Does the council monitor the procurement activities of the administration?
Through the contracts committee.
The contracts committee. And does it's still a committee? I mean, the council itself, does the council monitor the day-to-day management? For instance, the contracts committee is part of the committees that are part of the administration of council. Now, how do you monitor these activities? If yes, how is it done?
So the council monitors are you asking the financial affairs or procurement?
Procurement.
The council monitors procurement through the contracts committee directly.
Right.
Which constitutes the CEO, director of planning, director of finance, 2 councillors.
Right.
And 2 members from the general public.
Right.
And we do, I think we change it every 2 years.
Right.
So they are the ones directly monitoring the procurement, but the finance committee has a backstop.
Right.
The finance committee also delves into the financial dealings
aspect. It's all on the same.
Generally.
Right.
The local accounts committee sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes.
So now where you have a particular procurement activity done that is not in line with the GPPA, because there are methods of procurement. They didn't follow any procurement process, and they went ahead and did a procurement activity. How does council address this issue?
There's been instances in the past where
several instances.
Yes, where the chairman of a certain committee,
right,
or a councillor would rise and demand that the process be stopped or reversed. And sometimes when the process is gone, meaning it's already implemented, the chairman of the establishment committee sometimes recommends disciplinary action. But as far as the instances and the occurrences, I'll have to refer back to the minutes.
Have you ever had cause to discipline any officer of council, whether the contracts committee or any officer that has engaged in procurement without engaging, following the due process?
I would presume there's been warning letters, but I have to confirm.
In relation to procurement? You'll have to find out.
Because there's been many disciplinary hearings, many recommendations for termination, many suspensions, too many to count. So I have to find out.
You have to find out whether it's in relation to procurement. The response of the management is that the above transaction was spearheaded by the Mbalit project manager, who lobbied the funds from Julbrook Company Limited due to the volume of bottles disposed by the breweries company. They supposed to procure the machine and hand it over to council, but later decided to give the amount to the Mbalit project manager to procure on their behalf. Now, like the donations transactions, it was not treated like council's normal revenue by the management, but a deposit in the Mbalit revenue account, which was later used for the procurement of the item. However, the observation is noted in future, all transactions on procurement will be based on GPA laws and regulations. So they have received the money.
Okay. And it's a management issue, and I think the finance committee, I'll find out what measures they took.
Okay. If this can happen, and the people involved should be, the council should discuss this matter through your relevant committees and the council itself and take appropriate action. You agree with me?
I agree.
Now, on the same page, 98, there was an issue of unpresented payment vouchers. Now, says we noted an unpresented payment vouchers of 5,133,874 is 95 butots. Now, these payments were in respect of construction fence of the backward dump site. Now, the itemized expenditure payments were can be found on page 99. The implication is that in the absence of the payment vouchers, we could not confirm the correctness and genuineness of the payments, which might lead to misstatement in the financial statement. Now, again, was this ever addressed?
Say it again.
Was this issue of the payment vouchers ever addressed?
Yes. So my only doubt, I remember 7 million. So I don't know.
You remember
what I've heard is the unpresented vouchers was 7 million, not 5.
What you've heard from?
From the Finance Committee and the Finance Public Accounts
Okay,
Committee.
okay.
So maybe this is just an earlier version, but the latest one I saw was 7 point something.
Okay.
Yeah. So that I believe the vouchers were found with the support of the Commission of Inquiry. Although I think there's about, the last I had was up to 6 million was found. There's 1 million they're looking for still around the files that were submitted to the Commission of Inquiry.
Well, we will need evidence of that.
Yes, I will ask the Finance Committee. That's the report he gave me when I came back.
The report. Okay, we will need evidence of that. On page 125, the issue of non-deduction of staff loans, an amount of $4,397,839 butots were said to not have been deducted from the staff loans for 2021. Now, you have a loan policy in council?
We have a councillor's loan policy.
You have a
councillor's loan policy.
Okay. Can you avail us a copy of the
Yes.
loan policy?
Yes.
Good. And then the issue of this outstanding amount, how was it addressed?
So this outstanding amount, I'll find out, but I think it predates our time in council. The one I remember was of the former CEO of 1 million and the former director of finance. This is before we took mantle as council. It was reported to us by the interim management committee led by Chairperson Bakary Jammeh. That is what I remember, but to have authority on the subject matter, I will find out from the finance committee.
Now, how about medical policy on page 127?
The
medical policy.
No, council does not. I don't believe we have a medical policy.
Okay.
Are you saying medical insurance or medical policy?
Lack of medical policy on page 127. You may turn to page 127, please.
Yes.
Yes. Where you have, for instance, on the 17th of November 2020, medical bills claimed for the Deputy Director of Finance, $8,726. 28th of October 2020, medical support for the Council of Cardiff in South Ward as per claimed, 7,500. The list goes on. Between 2020 to 2021, what we have on record is an amount of $207,382 that were disbursed by way of medical support. Now, how is this determined as to who qualifies for what?
So I don't know how necessary it is determined. When councillors are in desperate need of medical treatment, I do refer the matter to the CEO, and oftentimes I support the matter. But when we were coming, there was a medical insurance at KMC.
Yes.
I was one of the people who sold them their medical insurance when I was working at Takaful Insurance in 2012, but they consistently defaulted. So we canceled the policy. In 2018, when we arrived, they owed Mowin Clinic $4 million because they had created an arrangement where staff can go directly to Mowin Clinic. And the Mowin Clinic was taking us to court.
Yes.
So based on the bad practices and given the size of KMC staff is 1,300 or something, it was a consistent debate at the General Council as to whether we should take up medical insurance. But the cost always was the issue. So I would have to refer back to the minutes as to the compromise that was developed. But I believe it's on the discretion of the CEO most times.
All right. We will wait for that. So for this period, well, sorry, on page 151, we have an issue of missing data on the Ecotech system. You recall the Ecotech system?
The Ecotech Mbalit system?
Yes, where it says that during the audit, we noted the council started using the Ecotech system to manage the Mbalit project daily collections and transactions in 2019. However, our findings reveal that there is no data available in the system prior to August 2021. The only available data on the Ecotech system is from August 2021 to date. The previous year's data could not be found on the system. Why was that the case?
I will, strange, but I'll find out from the finance committee because I did used to receive some updates about data on revenue. I know at some point we had a cancellation of contract with Ecotech,
right,
because of non-performance,
right.
But why that data should not be available, I'll find out with the finance committee. But I think it's one of the things they were looking at.
Please provide us with the evidence of the cancellation of the contract. Yeah. Now, this report, if you look at the Auditor's General report, there was a disclaimer of opinion. Are you familiar with the disclaimer of opinion?
Disclaimer of opinion?
Opinion.
What page?
Page 8. Now, the auditor was interviewed and stated that wherever there's a disclaimer of opinion, it shows that the accounts of the, in this case, the Caribbean Municipal Council was so bad that they could not provide an opinion in relation to the accounts of the area council. So let me read for you. It says, we have audited the financial statements of Caribbean Municipal Council for the year ended 31st December 2020. Now, these financial statements comprise of revenue and expenditure statement and balance sheet for the year then ended, and a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information are set out on page 14 to 31. Because of the significance of the matters described in the base of disclaimer of opinion paragraph, we have not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to provide a basis for an audit opinion. Now, accordingly, we do not express an opinion on the financial statement. So, like I said, when we interviewed the auditor, the evidence was that if what was presented was so bad, it would be difficult for the auditor to have an opinion as to the accounts of the council in this state. This was brought to your notice. It's a serious issue.
So this report was developed in February 2023.
Right.
And majority of the exercise of the audit,
right,
was occurring in 2021.
Right.
Under the tenure of the then CEO,
right,
and Director of Finance.
Right.
If I can remember correctly, that was the year of chaos. And the audit was going on as the chaos was also ensuing. Also, if I may, during the recruitment of the Director of Finance and the CEO, I objected to their recruitment, and I have the evidence with me.
Right.
Largely because of capacity issues. The pay scale of councils are so low that we cannot afford a chartered accountant to manage the financial affairs of a council. I am not an accountant. The councillors are not an accountant. We expect that to be the job of the administration. That is why the services of the finance director is something that must be reviewed on the pay scale of councils. Madam Chair, if I may, I once recommended that the pay scale of the administration of councils, especially the directors, should be similar to that of parastatals, because we are service delivery institutions. And we need the competence. That's why we have a CEO, another permanent secretary or director, sorry, or other names for leads like in government. The CEO needs a certain competence to effectively manage services of the council. Director of finance needs a chartered accountant, needs an ACCA. And because of that, to date, we still have that issue where the director of finance doesn't have the prerequisite capacity to develop the needed financial statements and to organize our accounts as per the standard required by the National Audit Office. But in that particular year, I remember there was new management, and secondly, it was the year of chaos. So I believe that is why so many documents had issues. But when I returned from my travels, the Finance Committee chair has informed me that most of the issues mentioned in the audit, the major issues, have been resolved. But I will need to get that information from him before I can present here with authority.
Yes. But just to ask the question, this particular issue, the finance committee, you are not certain whether it was addressed.
I know before I left, we had instructed them to address it.
Right.
As the council.
But you're not sure.
When I came back verbally, he told me they have addressed it. The only issue he told me was the 7 million unpresented vouchers, 5-point-something million were detected and recovered or copied from the Commission of Inquiry. But 1-point-something million is still something they're searching with your team over here. So that is what he had told me.
Did you see the evidence of the address so that council can review this?
I just came back from leave and then, I had some personal issues. So I've not yet sat to review it.
Now, the issue is, for instance, like I said, the auditor highlighting the main areas as to why they opined or have the opinion that the state of the accounts was so bad in during this period, that they cannot have an opinion in the first place. Is first the matrix property tax system lacks audit trail.
The market.
They mentioned
matrix,
as matrix system, and two, the payroll system. The payroll system also lack audit trail in respect of payroll transactions to verify the validate the accuracy of the payroll figures in the revenue and expenditure statements. Now, the report provided showed that the accumulated monthly salary report for the entire council retained the same total figure of salaries paid for all previous months. This is prevalent even when adjustments are done in a particular month. We talked about the Equotech system on page 10. We have the unpresented license invoices. We have discussed this and other issues. So again, we will wait for you to come back.
The council, if I may, on the one where he discussed about the system of the matrix, the central government at some point asked councils to not procure any new software. They were planning to deploy the information management, the IFMIS system. Yeah, IFMIS system. I don't know the exact breakdown, but it's financial management.
Yeah, IFMIS system, yes.
And they started actually working with the council, the Ministry of Local Government and Finance, but it was never implemented to its completion, as far as I can remember, at the council level. I think that should have basically had an integrated system. We recognize that it is not efficient to have different systems that are not talking to each other, and that creates audit problems, it creates verification problems. So I just wanted to put that across to the chairperson.
Now, the financial statement of council for the year 20, you can make reference to page,
Page
on page 14,
14. Okay.
where you have the statement into 2020 and 2019. Where you will see the revenue and expenditure statement for the year ended 31st December 2020.
The financial statement on page 14?
Yes.
Yes.
You see that
The financial statement on page 14.
under the revenue column, you have licenses, taxes, rents and fees, rates, other income, interest, and dividend. And that is what you have, that's kind of a municipal council, as the revenue that you have generated within this period. In 2020, were grants received and donations?
I have to check.
Okay. 2019?
I have to check. I have to check. In 2020, I know we got the approval for the European Union KETP, a project of 3 million euros, but it was disbursed over 2 years or 3 years, but I don't know when the disbursement started. But you can conclude with your question and maybe I can come in and fill in.
Oh, I'm just asking that if in the event that you have received grants and donations for the period, of course we will wait that you provide us with the answer when you come back tomorrow, that these will form parts of revenues of council.
Absolutely.
Okay, so why would it not feature in the financial statement?
That is actually a query that I remember raising at the General Council.
Right.
And for the years, I remember 2022, 2023, it was incorporated in our revenue.
Right. Okay, so we will wait for the amounts that were received based on grants and donations.
Let me just find out from Mayor Bensouda. I wanted to have a clarity on the issue of the provisions that you were talking about, because as a commission, we are minded to look at the inconsistencies and conflicts, and going through the provisions of particularly the Local Government Finance and Audit Act of 2004. I have perused section 35 and section 36. And the reason why I am referring you to section 35 and section 36 is the fact that the Act makes specific reference to the financial manual to be complied with in dealing with financial matters. And if there is a possibility of not complying with the financial manual, then there is an issue. Because the Finance and Audit Act, which is specifically tailored for local governance, is referring to the financial manual. There is an understanding from reading this provision that there is a requirement of the councils to comply with what is contained in the financial manual. Do you agree with what is contained in the Act, in the Finance and Audit Act, particularly when it has to deal with issues of finance? Because if you look at section 35, let me just read this. It says, a council surrender to the Secretary of State an annual financial statement in such form as is provided for by the financial manual, and shall before the first day of June in each year publish the annual financial statement and the report of the auditor on it, and at its own offices. Then section 36 says, in auditing the accounts of a council as required by this Act, the Auditor General shall
alena toñata ni alana la kila dia ni banko mole dia na kunkol kono sai banko dimol bika nyonyata sude banko molo ni nyom konkoro molo ibe na kunkol kono anen tolu da malaka si nda malaka domorol kenyokang nda malaka lo saledulalto nda malaka nyotola nin sapa nyinyong konkoro mini alangko ikasi patampan tol ken na bangkol kang imang ke bangko ding kendeleti ala jawolo kila nyima jawolo bangko ding kendelo jawolo nyinyong konkoro bangko mo to yala wala wana to nyala bela bana banko molo na totondungol soton na banko kang iba podi na banko karo bela e koko kumani banko karo bela banko dingolo yara panyin totondungolo fente to botol kono fona manka haramulti inata banko dingol le filindi nyin totondungolo ali nyadal moni pentru ko olla Posoma di non si sude Imanka banku din kendeleti tondingolo sa pale ko albota mo kendo le bala alkana la somol tinya alimira to nyala bala bana en to tondingola la hakilo lutu banko molo nsitan ko na kunko kono na dola ni je minisa na fondin kele makoy bi na fondin kele fele bi ibe fala nyin jiolu kono bin bar mu sol fele ibe kele jongote nyin wulolu kono banko molo yara panto lay nyin kurtu kanal min ben na kunko kono tol ko wala mun na dolaldi iba sarla banko karo bela iba daji sarla dorong banko dumul ba kumbola anna gambia jibe anna gambia do ko kurtu kanalo alba sarla dorong anna gatto nya ko nyoye banko molo fonni kelbe fala mbar musul be kele jomoti dalam kon na buntu silalu mi be sile na buntu mol kantan na waji manolo banko dingolo dunia kono buntu nyen dunia kono ila buntu mol katale ndolla banko buntu mo jila ngo penta na buntu mol kono banko dingol be fala fonin keli be fala bar boro lu man soto jorangol man soto yara fan to lem buntu silalu ju fitim wala be siri na buntu mol kunto ibe banna banko dingol yelo susula ni la piti leje isalo yelo le banta na kordale dila ye moto le dila e ko dingolu ila dimbayalu nu wala sata banko ngol ye pintini nyim banko kan to la mulbe fala yelolu man soto pengo pe man soto go hospital to domoro man soto dogo man soto banko dingolo yara fanto lenju fitim lebe sirin to len buntungol kunto banko molo to nyala bala banamba be filla ko mala nyun dunia al gambia no le jibe ale banko dingol jibe banko dingol la ka fanyim banko kan wala to ni ke yalla sindele kale ken na wati mano tin na buntungol kan to nyala bala bana Mane banjo nunding Musa Suso Sukuta Ala Baraka Banko din kendo la malti Alkalo banko dingole Alka banko dingole nyafita Billahi rasuruye Naka football leke Na timo musti bikoleti Kabirum first second division First division Sungonada problem soto Gambia banko kan Doctor en nakodo domo Doctor do kon batona singo kuntu